does that help you whenever you're talking to other sports players, especially football players, in maintaining their faith and their interest in the sport? How do they keep those two leveled out?
It's an interesting question. I think I'll weigh that against my current role with a bunch of the players at South Carolina. And I think what we did at South Carolina during that era, 2010 to 2013, being the most winningest quarterback, I think it gives me a little bit of credibility for some of the guys that don't know who I am. And so sometimes what I had to say, maybe they listen a little bit more intently. So I think it's a positive thing. But also, that record was not standalone for me. I definitely played at the right time for sure. I mean, guys like Marcus and Alshon and Stephon, we had 8 out of the 11 go play NFL on offense, and I think 10 out of the 11 on defense. So very fortunate to play during that era. But I think it's more of a positive thing and something that I take a lot of pride in.
Connor, coming back to you. Thank you, Stuart Mungo, for the support here tonight. We appreciate you. So we touched on your favorite game, but I want to ask you, what was your favorite moment of being just a Gamecock? Whether it was off the field, practice, anything in school, what was your favorite overall moment as a Gamecock?
Man, Barry, that's a deep question, man. Favorite moment. I can tell you what I remember the most.
Yeah.
Okay, so I remember our quarterback run. Steven, Perry, Dylan, Seth Strickland, Andrew Clifford. We're all in a group message still to this day. We all always share what's going on, everything South Carolina related and off the field. I'll speak on two people that influenced my career the most, which I'm probably most grateful for and I remember the most. I came in 2010, graduated early from high school at a time where that wasn't really prevalent. Now you have more and more kids coming in January. But I came in January. I was the only one in my class to do that in 2010. I didn't know anybody, didn't know any players. Obviously, I'm from Georgia, so I didn't know much about South Carolina in general, other than I wanted to play for Coach Spurrier and be a part of something for the very first time in school history. But Coach Spurrier put me with T.J. Johnson. That's who I lived with throughout my career, and he's from Ainer, South Carolina, was a center. Most starts in school history, so he was Iron Man, played 7 years for the Cincinnati Bengals. But just a man beyond his years when I was coming in, really took me under his wings. And when you first come in as a freshman or as a rookie in the NFL, and you haven't experienced everything these older guys have, you start to find someone who does it the right way, who's just a model of consistency and builds great habits and has great daily disciplines. And that was T.J. Johnson. So it was someone I learned from the very get-go and super competitive. So I learned how to be a pro, develop pro habits as a freshman because of TJ, and the other one is Dylan Thompson. Number one, that man doesn't get enough credit for how good of a quarterback he was, but number two, what he did for that locker room can never be weighed or measured. I was someone who was very quiet. Perry said it earlier, I led by example. It's just not my personality. I'm not an extrovert. I think when I said something, people listened because I didn't talk a whole lot. But I was also very serious, very rigid, very militant. And Dylan wasn't that way in the best way possible. He kept it light in our quarterback room, held weekly Bible studies for our players that were player-led. And when we talk about the camaraderie and the connectedness that we had on that football team, a lot of that was because of Dylan and his initiative and his leadership. And that rubbed off on me. The most fun I ever had playing football was my senior year because I spent a lot of time with Dylan in the offseason. I had a Liz Frank injury, which is tearing some ligaments and it chipped off a piece of the bone. So I was out of spring ball in 2013 going into my senior year. So had to accept a different type of role, and I really got close with Dylan. But his influence rubbed off on me in a great way. So TJ and Dylan, probably in that quarterback room, is what I'm most grateful for and what I remember the most.
Perry, I'm going to mess you up a little bit, but this segues so well. When he's talking about the quarterback room, you played with some notable quarterbacks too. The pair is now in the NFL. Tell us about Trevor Lawrence, and also it's no secret that Dabo and the